Welcome to the Soul Tide podcast. I'm Brecken.
And I'm Brittany. This is your space where we keep it raw, real, and 100% authentic.
Let's get Soul Tide, sis.
Hi.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to Soul Tide.
Welcome back. We're here today talking all about pregnancy and motherhood as I'm literally out of breath from moving right now.
Which is why we wanted to start the first, in-depth episode about acknowledging what is.
Yeah.
And acknowledging that Brittany is pregnant and due in 5 weeks? 4 weeks?
4, yeah.
Which is crazy. So you're in the thick of the hard.
Yeah.
Which we can, a lot of us can relate to.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I feel like, and I'll let Brittany expound on this, but I think that was one of the reasons when we kind of kept being like, oh, should we start? Maybe we wait.
Right, like the back and forth.
Yeah, and taking pictures and being on camera.
Yeah, I don't really want to do that right now.
Was a stretch for you. And it's funny because an outside looking in, we all see Brittany and we're like, she's stunning. She's the most beautiful pregnant person ever. But it's something we can relate to where in every phase of life, there's a moment where I think we don't feel like we're enough. Or we critique ourselves, we compare ourselves.
Yeah.
It's just a very real thing that we do as women.
And pregnancy is such a mind F because it's motherhood in general is a mind F. That's why we're going to talk all about that this episode. But you are growing a human and then you're getting your body healthy afterward or in shape or whatever you want to call it. And then it's you get pregnant again. And it's you're kind of starting over. And
then the hormones hit.
Yep.
And that's a really fun experience. And it's that is pregnancy, postpartum. Mm-hmm. I'm dealing with hormone stuff. Yeah. I had to get blood work done to get regulated again. And my baby is 2 in May.
Almost 2.
And I think that as women is hard too because it's we never really, it's this. We just never really feel like ourselves.
And it also, mind you, it takes 2 years to heal from having a baby.
Which makes sense.
And which blows my mind when mothers, if this is one of you guys, have babies back to back, within.
It's astounding.
Yes. I'm you are not even fully healed yet. And you are now adding this other human in your body. Yeah. And all the hormones that come with it. It's wild to me.
Well, and I feel statistically, they've done a lot of studies about that, where it takes your body to that point. And then we sit there and beat ourselves up as mothers or as wives because, and we're like, I suck.
Yeah.
And we're really hard on ourselves. And then you look at something like that and you're like, oh.
You're like, no, it's chemical.
You know what? It's chemical. And I'm actually doing a really good job. And so I think that the more we talk about that, the more we realize it's normal to feel this way.
Right.
And we have to be patient with ourselves and we have to give ourselves grace to work through those hard moments,
Yeah.
But pregnancy.
Yeah.
We'll start with
pregnancy. The joys and ups and downs. No, honestly, I feel this pregnancy has been, I want to say my hardest one yet. This is my third. Mm-hmm. And I would say up until 17 weeks, it was my hardest one yet. And then after that, it was okay.
You had a hell of a run.
I know, which is so weird because it's so crazy to me because speaking of hormones, before I got pregnant, I was the healthiest I've ever been. I was the leanest. I had just gotten all my blood work done. Yeah. Everything was perfect. And I was I'm primed for this pregnancy. I'm not going to get sick.
I freaking got this.
I literally, it's the perfect example of what you resist, you persist. Oh, yeah. Because I was I'm not getting sick and da-da-da-da. I was so naive.
You were sure.
I was. And that's Murphy's Law. If something bad's going to happen, it's going to happen. So the first 17 weeks were throwing up, sick. I know you were sick with yours too, the whole time.
I was sick with both of my kids the entire time.
Which I couldn't do. Sorry.
No. And I didn't have it. I will say though, I have friends who have medical
oh my gosh,
issues.
The HG.
Yes. So they're, feeding tubes and miserable. So it's I don't even want to compare what I went through with them or even you. I didn't talk to you for weeks. I was so worried about you.
Well, I shut the world out. I was just okay. Yeah.
You have to.
Right.
At some point, sometimes.
Sometimes, but also I feel that's my coping skill.
Yeah.
Or not, it's not a skill. It's a mechanism and it doesn't really serve me. But I think that's also something that a lot of moms do is will kind of when we're going through a hard time.
Yeah.
You kind of shut yourself out to, it's a protection mechanism, but it's not what we need.
No. And I think the more you can learn to express, hey, this isn't you, it's me. I'm just like not okay right now. I think even that, because you would tell me things like that.
Yeah. So like, I'm sorry I haven't replied.
Yeah. But then I knew.
It's been a hell of a week. Yeah.
And it's like, I know she's not okay. So like, I'm going to check in more, or I'm going to do this, because to your point, I think it's natural for us to like go inward.
Right.
And be a little bit of a recluse, and to want to fix it and solve it all by ourselves, which is the lesson that I think a lot of us learn all the time, is that like, we just can't do it alone.
Right.
We're not meant to. It's not supportive for us, for our family. Like, I can speak for me that when I try to do everything on my own, like everyone I think suffers around me.
Right.
Because I don't allow people to help me. I don't accept the help. I don't allow them to help. I don't give them the opportunity to help. Yeah. But then I resent them for not helping me.
Right.
So it's this double-edged sword of like, I can do it better. I'm going to do it my way, but I'm really mad at you for not helping me.
Just like you're in trouble.
Like my poor husband. Sometimes I'm like, you can't win. And I recognize that.
Yeah.
But I think that in pregnancy especially, like there are so many moments where it feels very debilitating. And it feels like we lose ourselves. And I think that's when we need people the most.
Right.
But it's really hard.
Yeah.
I think it's not talked about enough. Pregnancy's beautiful. I'm so grateful for it. I'm grateful that I could bring 2 beautiful babies into this world because of that. I'm grateful that I had a healthy body to be able to do that. Right. And while I was sick the whole time, like I had a very seamless pregnancy. Yeah. But it's still hard. Yeah. And it's okay to say that. Right. I don't think we say it enough, because we all have people in a position where they can't have kids, or they struggle having them. They have to work really hard, and we feel insensitive if we say that we're having a tough time. But like everybody's heart is still hard.
Right. You can't compare.
You can't compare. And it's okay to also be like, hey, I'm really grateful, but also this is really challenging. Yeah. Because it does consume you. It takes every part of you, literally. I mean, the baby comes and you're their house.
You know what is something that I learned? Like your nervous system is your baby's nervous system when they're in utero. So it's like you literally are everything to them. And like vice versa, like you're feeding off of each other. And I think like, yes, pregnancy is hard, but something that's like kind of not like pushed me through pregnancy to like get me to the other side, but it's like put things into perspective, is like I'm building my baby's nervous system right now. I'm saying this because I have felt guilty, because I know they're so linked. Sure. So please don't feel guilty knowing that your baby's like nervous system is linked to yours. But like something that has gotten me through the tough times in pregnancy is like, okay, if I can stay regulated, if I can stay like, and not saying to not have a hard time sometimes, but like if I can stay in a good place mentally, my baby's going to be healthy and they're going to feel what I feel. So like, let's chill out.
It gives you, I think, a little bit more of a purpose. Is that what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Or it gives you more
something to hold on to, like more during the hard.
During that hard, because you're like, man, this is really hard. But like also, I'll do whatever for you. Yeah.
And I do have to speak on like after that 17 weeks, I feel like I've had a great pregnancy. Yeah.
Like you came out of it like glowing.
I was just like, glow up. And now we're going down a little bit.
It's the ebb and flow of life.
Yep, it is. Literally, your brain literally shrinks in pregnancy. Your gray matter shrinks.
Does it shrink when you're just a mom in general?
Yep, it takes years to get it back. Like, it is wild, like the science behind it. But so when you say like you have mom brain, that's actually a thing.
It's like a real thing.
Yes. So you have an excuse. Like you have an excuse to forget about things.
If your husband's like, why are you saying that? Blame it on us. It's just science.
When you were pregnant, did you feel like literally sometimes I'll be talking and I'm like, I am dumb. I am stupid right now.
I feel that way like just in life lately. Yeah. So yeah, I feel you. Yeah. Just after.
But you also like just had a baby.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll claim that. Yeah. So that I can blame it on that. I'm like, oh, she's just still a baby.
She's healing still.
I'm still healing, guys.
But you are.
No, for sure. And I think experiences in life like give you that mom brain again, where you're just trying. We're all in survival mode a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, I did feel that in pregnancy. Right. I had a really hard time speaking words sometimes, composing sentences. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that didn't come out the way I thought
you're like, no. We're talking about how your pregnancy with Huddy was hard. Like, how come you feel like it was hard?
And it's interesting because I had 2 girls. obviously like housed 2 girls. I have 4 children collectively between my husband and I, but I only housed 2 girls. So I was like, oh, I got this. I know how to be pregnant with a girl. Yeah. Everybody says boys and girls are different. Right. I was like, we're good. And it kicked my butt. And it's funny because I was telling Brittany, I had more resources. I feel like I had more support in my pregnancy with Hudson versus Scotland. I had access to more and I had more knowledge. And so it's interesting the parallel between it feeling harder.
Right.
And there were a few different factors. I was freshly married. So I'm navigating a new marriage. I'm navigating a blended family.
Which is hard.
Something that I was learning. So I'm dealing with being pregnant. I'm dealing with being very sick, very tired. We have a massive age gap. So between our 4 kids, it's 21, 11, 9, and almost 2. So I'm dealing with being pregnant, being sick, being exhausted, trying to figure out how to merge everybody and make everybody happy and not hurt anybody's feelings. And I'm making mistakes along the way, and that's just life. But
yeah, it's normal.
And trying not to let the trauma of my, old relationship and my divorce come into my new relationship, which again, that's inevitable. Yeah. I had to figure out how to work through things that like were different issues from a different relationship. Right. And then I'm dealing with hormones, and then I'm dealing with the busyness of older kids and running them to activities, and then being really tired and sick with a baby, and then also age. So I'm convinced, maybe this is just me having an excuse, but there is something about me being pregnant in my 20s versus me being pregnant in my 30s. Yeah. It kicked my butt. Yeah. I was so much more tired. I was so much more like ragey.
I feel like we're so naive too, the younger we are and pregnant. We're like, this is great.
Versus I'm like, I know what to expect.
Yeah, exactly.
And my recovery, there was not great.
After Huddy?
No, with Scotland.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you tear?
I tore. So I sat on the donut.
No, not the donut.
I had stitches. I had the baths with salt every morning. Yeah. I was just sad. Really sad. And then I'm dealing with a newborn. Anyway, so I think too that was another key factor in being pregnant again. Whereas like the first time I was naive, I didn't know what to expect. Right. The second time I knew what was coming. Yeah. Even though I was grateful, even though I was so excited. Right. So D, all of the above. I had a lot going on in my life, but I feel like age was such a big factor. I mean, like you have a span of.
Yeah. Like this baby in Rome will be almost 9 years apart.
Yeah, and that's Scotty
and
Hudson.
It's like Scotty Huddy. Yeah. But I've had one in between then. But it does, I mean, because I'll be 30 this year. And I was 19 when I got pregnant with Rome. And so I'm like, I feel the difference too. I mean, I would like to say, I'm like, no, I'm young and spry, which we are. We are.
It's all a conversation.
It is. But also we were talking about this earlier. It's the taking care of the other kids while you're pregnant. And I feel like too, like adding to what you were saying about like running the kids around and doing all the things, like you don't get a break. You still have to be a mom. When you're pregnant with your first, it's like you can lay around all day. I literally slept all day.
My first trimester was like, oh, what are people talking about? I just watch shows and lay on the couch and eat crackers all day. Yes. This is wonderful.
No, in my first trimester with this baby, I literally...
You almost said her name.
I almost said her name, yeah. Not that I care. I'm like, why am I
feel it. You're like, I love it.
I don't know. I'm weird. Honestly, this is a side quest that I'm about to talk about, but... It's not even that I care about sharing her name. It's the opinions. I'm like, I don't need it right now. I just don't want to hear opinions from anyone else about the name.
I feel that immensely.
I mean, you know it obviously, but like a select few know.
No, but I just can resonate with that entirely. I mean, we almost named Hudson Maverick, and you should have seen the faces
reaction. Oh yeah, everyone's like, oh.
And you know what's funny? It did kind of deter me. Which now in retrospect, she is a Hudson.
No, that would be cute though.
But like, I was so attached to Maverick for a little girl. And it's cute. I let everybody's opinions get to me. But my husband didn't love it either. So there were a lot of factors. But anyways, you being 19 versus almost 30 and the age gap.
The age gap. I don't remember.
Oh man.
It's okay. I'll remember. Anyway. No, you really just don't like get a break.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And no, this is what I was talking about. Now I remember. I 1000% recognize that I'm blessed to be able to do this, and not a lot of mothers do. Because obviously, like, we stay at home. I would call our sitter. Yeah. And I'd have her come to our house for like 3 hours. And I would lock myself in my room. and throw up.
Yeah.
But also I would lay on my bed.
It's not really like a reward.
No.
Like, it's not like you're sitting around lounging watching shows.
Well, I was watching a show, but this was like a 2-week span that I did this, like probably twice a week, because our husbands travel for work. So we kind of like are solo parenting constantly.
Yeah.
So like, anyway, so I was like, I need help.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to have a sitter come for 3 hours and I'm going to throw up in peace. Because but I can't do it anymore.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
And that needs to be acknowledged, because I know you felt guilty.
Oh my gosh, the guilt talked about that comes. Okay, first of all, the guilt that comes with asking for help in general in motherhood.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
At least for me, and I know for you too. Yeah. It's like, but again, like we've said a million times, we literally can't do it alone.
You can't. We're not meant to.
No.
It's just not possible.
Right.
And am I a better mother and wife and friend when I don't ask for help? No, I'm a raging psychopath. Same. When I ask for help, I'm like, oh my, that wasn't so hard. Like. Okay, good. So yeah. But it's just, we want to do it all on our own. And I think everyone can relate to that. I think every mom can relate to that. We feel inadequate when we have to ask somebody for help. But it's actually really empowering.
Right. I agree. And like you said, it makes you a better mother in general. Like when you're rejuvenated, when you're a little bit rested, like you can't tell me that you, at least for me, it's like if I take an hour, go to the gym, the kids are in the kids club, they're playing, they're happy. Yeah. I'm like a different mother coming out of it on the other side. you know?
But it's true. Like, you have to take care of you.
Right.
And I think this goes into pregnancy and motherhood, and it's all entangled because we put everybody else before us every single day from sun up till sundown. Motherhood is not a 9 to 5. It's the moment we wake up till the moment we put our very tired heads on our pillow. Yeah. And it is so rewarding. And I wouldn't choose any other calling in this entire life. Yeah. I'm so grateful that I get to do that. And when I neglect myself, I'm not a good mom. Okay, no, I'm gonna retract that. I think I do a really good job.
Yeah, you're still a great mom.
I don't show up in the best way that I can, because I am so physically depleted. Right. How am I supposed to deposit more into everybody else when I am empty?
Yeah.
You know? And so I think it's okay that you did that.
Yeah.
I think that you were in survival mode and you had to get through it. And for you to show up the best way for your other children was to take a moment and be like, okay, so I can have my babysitter who can go and play games with them.
Right.
Or they can lay in bed with me and watch me throw up and probably be scared or be grossed out, or I don't know.
You know what? My kids were so sweet when I was throwing up. My 3-year-old, she like literally would like rub my back and like, and honestly.
That's so her though.
It is so her. But when you were talking about withdrawals and deposits and stuff like that, it reminds me, I've talked to you about this book, Good Inside. It's like, it's a parenting book, but she talks a lot about like depositing into your children. Yeah. And like how that's so important. But I also feel like it's so applicable to motherhood, because if there's so many withdrawals and you're not filling your own cup, like you were saying, where is any of this extra coming from?
There's none.
Yes, exactly. So you need to be depositing it. And it doesn't have to be getting a babysitter.
Yeah.
It can be like doing self-care, doing something you love, literally turning on a show for your kids sometimes.
Go take a bath.
Yep.
My family knows every night that she's taking her bath.
Don't mess with Reagan. She's
taking
a bath.
I get my sour littles out,
Not the sour littles.
I should have stock.
We need to be sponsored by Yum Earth.
Or like maybe sponsor me, because I bulk order those bags every week.
Every time I'm at your house, you get an Amazon.
There's one on my counter over there, opened. I said, "Do you want some sour littles?" Yeah.
I'm like, absolutely.
Send her home with them.
Yep.
But that's our self-care.
Yeah.
And like even my husband's like, it's okay. We don't need to watch a show. You got to take your 45-minute bath. Like,
right.
But he like supports it, because I am better when I have a moment to just breathe.
Right.
And everybody has to have that. We all do. Yeah. However that looks. Reading a book, shutting yourself in your closet and eating a sleeve of Thin Mints. Did that the other day. You have to it's balance. I love it.
Were they Girl Scout cookies?
Well, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Chandler literally is obsessed. They're in our freezer right now. Same. And I'm like, I can't get behind. I'm like mint and chocolate. I don't know if that mixes.
I'm not a mint girl, but the Thin Mints.
I've actually never tried them, to be honest. Girl Scout cookies.
None? No, like none.
I've tried I think they're called Samoas. Right?
No. Though I feel like those are not even.
Okay,
then
they're good. I'll try it.
The boys like the Samoas. It's funny. The girls like the Thin Mints. Me and Scotland and Hudson love the Thin Mints.
That is hilarious.
Josh and Nixon and Chris love the Samoas.
Oh my gosh.
It's just really funny.
It's genetic.
I think it is. But the Thin Mints, they slap. And I'm not a mint girl.
I'll have to try them. It was so funny. Speaking of baths, Chandler, my husband, was texting. I don't know why he was texting. They're cousins, by the way.
Yeah.
They were cousins. They were texting and they were like, he was asking something and she's like, I don't know, I'm in the bath right now. Or you were on FaceTime. You're like, I'm in the bath right now. And you're like, that is hilarious because Brittany's in the bath right now too.
Scotty was at your house.
Oh, yes.
He FaceTimed me in the thick of a nostalgia moment, like almost in tears.
Oh, yes.
We used to do this all the time.
Oh, yeah, the cousin sleepover.
Yeah, because we don't do sleepovers. Uh-huh. And so we let them have a cousin sleepover. And he was like just pumped. He was like threading a needle with some
Oh my gosh, he was
playing.
Oh, it's hilarious.
That's what it was.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm in the bath or something. He's like, so is Brittany.
Yeah, I'm like, we are the same. This is why we're soul tied.
Yeah, we're in sync like 98% of the time. She'll walk in the room. I'm like, what's wrong? She's like,
I'm like, how'd you know?
How'd you know?
Literally. Anyway, that was also a side quest.
But that's just, it's just part of it all.
But going back to like having a self-care moment. Yeah. A bath or whatever, just to get those positive inputs into your own life so that you can come out on the other side. And it's easier said than done.
Oh, it is. It is.
Because it's like, it's so easy to pour into your kids and your family and your husband because it feels a little more natural, I feel like. But also I'm like,
service is selfless.
Yeah.
We're selflessly serving our family.
Right.
And that feels good.
Yeah. But like, why do we like ourselves not give it that to ourselves? It's an interesting like nuance because we should love ourselves as much as we love other people.
Well, and I feel like that goes hand in hand, right? I think our ability to love someone is a direct mirror of our ability to love ourselves.
Yes.
And it's something I've had to learn along the way. It's like mirroring even just parenting in general. Like my husband and I were talking about this the other day, and it was about our dog, but I was like, I'm glad you're realizing. I'm glad you're realizing these like parenting hacks
through our dog.
But through our dog.
Yep.
Because our dog's dealing with a little bit of anxiety. I didn't know dogs had that. That's a thing, I guess.
Regan's favorite thing is a dog. You'll find out.
Yeah, we're learning. But like he barks at air. He barks at nothing. He barks at everything. And it's heightened since we moved. And so he's at dog school right now, actually, learning how to not bark. It's more than that, I promise. She can attest. It's like anytime somebody walks in the room, we bark, and then we poop splatter on my wall, and then we pee. Like that's a no.
Right.
It's a no for me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a no for me, dog.
Yeah. So we're talking about anxiety, and we're talking like my husband was like, I think I gave it to him. I'm like, okay, expound on that.
Yeah.
He's like, well, when he was a puppy, like I was just like more mean and would kind of yell at him, and like if he pooped, I'd rub his face in it, and I'm like, but that's just kind of like I think what we're taught to do to train dogs, like. I grew up thinking that. My dad did that to my dog, rubbed his face in his pee. Like, and he's like, I'm realizing like when people come over, if you just love him, like if we come from a place of love, which is comical because
You're just like laughing under your breath. You're like,
If we come from a place of love, then he shows up different. But it was a good opportunity for us to have a conversation about like doing the same thing with our children, which is kind of my whole point of this tangent of like mirroring how we want to be and how we want people to show up. And so it's been a really good awareness for me with my children and my relationships. I have a tendency to like, I get very like triggered. I'm very OCD. I'm very rigid. And I've had to learn along the way through a lot of healing modalities that we'll dig into later that have really supported me. But if things are out of my control, I don't like it. And I spiral and then I kind of get set off and get snappy. And my kids mirror it every single time.
Right.
Like if I'm heightened and voice raised or whatever it is, like it's getting reflected from them.
Yeah.
And then I'm triggered because I'm seeing myself in them. And it's this like battle. And I'm learning when I lean in with love and understanding, and I'm putting my arms around them and I'm like, okay, let's just talk about it.
Right.
They are so much more inclined to like fall into a puddle instead of put on this big like masculine shell. And so anyways, I just think it's like, it was a good notice for me to be like, hey, when we lead with love, with every relationship, really, I think, like, people are so much more open and receptive than when we come on with this tough exterior and this harsh tone. And it just, it's interesting how people show up. It's been really cool.
I was just telling Brecken, I'm like, I don't know how to sit because I have a watermelon
You got
pushing
like,
against everything and against everything, And so I'm like, if I'm fidgety, It's not because I don't want to be here or I'm like bored or anything like that. It's legitimately like I can't get comfortable.
It's like you feel like your back is breaking. You feel like your back is breaking.
Literally. Well, right now it's like I have a varicose vein in my leg.
Yeah, that's new for you.
Yes, and I'm like
one the first two.
No, with Leighton, I kind of had a little, like it was little
beginning.
And you know, every pregnancy, your body's like, we've done this before. I know what's going on. So like, obviously the elements are a little more
escalate it.
Yep.
You know?
Literally. We're going to make this worse for you. I'm like, cool.
Wow. How do I make it more uncomfortable? Round 3.
Literally. I will say I've been the most comfortable, because I've been like working out more. Anyway, but this damn varicose vein. So like if I'm like this and then I like undo it, it's like shooting pain through my leg. So like if I'm fidgety, it's not because, you know, it's just because I'm preg.
I'm just proud of you. And I told her, I said, yeah. I said, you need to acknowledge what is, because that was something that we really wanted in Soul Tide, was like completely unfiltered, completely authentic. That's what we love about watching certain podcasters. Right. It's like, we love the realness that we see in people. So I'm like, Brittany, just acknowledge that like you're really freaking uncomfortable, and because you're pregnant.
Right. Yeah.
And like, you're still showing up. And I love that. And that's a lesson for all of us to push past the resistance in life, because you would have every excuse to be like, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
I have a vein here.
Like, I have a vein in my vagina.
Like, yeah, but literally.
No. And you know what? I have to say, I was thinking about this today, and I hope this can help someone, because it has been my mantra my whole entire pregnancy, because like in the past I've dealt with like body image stuff. I know you have too. And I know every mother does, because we watch our body change so drastically over such a short amount of time. And then all the things. So you are not your body. Like that is the mantra I repeat to myself, even like coming to film. Like it's the very last thing I want to do is to like be on a camera.
Yeah. And
like, that's literally like what I do, is like film myself.
It's a very
and so I'm like, what a funny nuance. But if I'm feeling thoughts of like not enough, or like, oh my gosh, I'm so swollen, or da-da-da, it is like a constant going back to, you are not your body. You are not your body, because we're not. And yes, we have this body and it does so many beautiful, amazing things for us. But like, truly, we're just a soul in a body. And it has changed the game for me, this pregnancy. Like,
it's like a positive self-talk.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's like, it really helps me believe, I'm like, okay, like I'm not my body. I can go and speak from my soul and hopefully like impact someone out there. It will reach someone. But like, honestly, if you think about it, when do you look at someone's body?
Never.
Like literally, I never look at someone and be like, oh my gosh, and pick it apart and da-da-da. But we do that to ourselves.
It's just ourselves.
Yes. And so like, that's what I have been reminding myself, like, okay, I'm not my body. I can go and speak and do all the things, even though I'm pregnant. But also, life doesn't stop.
But also, how cool. Like, you're pregnant and you're a mom.
Right.
And you're also trying to do this and grow a business.
Yeah.
And like, it goes into the whole, like, motherhood is just not it's not a one thing.
No.
We can do so many things. And I think we are better.
Yeah. I
know for me personally, coming out of the year that I've had, like, it lights my soul on fire to be able to do this and to talk about something that brings me so that like gives me so much. I have so much passion there. Yeah. And I feel like it makes me a better mom.
Yeah. And life doesn't stop when you're a mom.
It doesn't stop. And that's another thing.
Can you imagine a man doing this?
Have you seen the simulator things with like guys doing it? Oh man, that would be a fun one for Josh and Chandler.
Literally, that would be funny. Actually, we need to get them to do that. Yes. Stay tuned for that one.
But honestly, it's like we've got to give ourselves more credit as moms.
Right.
We're doing a really good job.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. And I think it's incredible. We make things happen while growing an actual living human being.
Which is astounding in itself.
It's insane to
crazy.
Me. But I just had to say that about the fidgeting and all the things. But we want to talk about all the funny things about pregnancy, the icks, the postpartum journey, the dreaded postpartum journey, but also like, it doesn't have to be, but we can touch on that later.
Yeah.
But what were your icks during pregnancy? Like what were all the things?
My like stuff with pregnancy. I feel like in regards to like I did not want meat.
Oh, interesting.
Animals or husbands, but
I didn't want husband meat or animal meat. Let's preface that. You know what?
Honestly though, okay, I'll go into that because that's just who I am. But like, I did not like meat. I was repulsed by it. I wanted
Josh's meat or
no, both. Just kidding. Not my husband.
Which one?
Although the liquid that it's produced.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to talk about this.
Ladies. Oh, yeah. We both have stories about this, so.
My nose is like, it's pregnancy nose.
Okay, but you already are weird about smells.
I'm so weird about smells, guys, and ask anybody who knows me. Like, I was like the weird one who like I had food on my fingers. You guys are like sniff my fingers. It's so weird because like I don't do smells.
I cannot.
So it's like heightened when you're pregnant.
Yeah.
And my poor husband's like natural things.
Yeah.
That happens.
Right.
When you're having encounters, could not stand the smell of it. Like would gag, throw up.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because now, even still this day, I'm like, I think my nose is ruined.
Forever. You're just
that
like,
was
I'm so sorry.
Number one ick.
Yeah.
The smell of bacon wrecked me. And it's funny because it still does.
Right.
Like my husband will cook bacon. He'll cook egg sandwiches for the kids all the time. And I get nauseous like I did when I was pregnant.
You know what? Chandler was going to cook bacon this morning, and I said, Bracken's coming over later. She hates bacon.
So sad, you guys.
And she didn't cook it.
But how considerate. Those are probably my biggest icks, though. Yeah. Really. I didn't have a ton. Right. But like the semen. That was the one.
Oh my gosh.
That was the ick. It's so bad.
No, oh my gosh. I am the same way. And I've like obviously told her this story before, but I'm like trying to decide if you have little kids in the car, let's not let them listen to this part.
Maybe we'll preface it.
Yeah.
We're clean, but we're also unfiltered.
Right. So. But like, when you like swallow... One time when I was pregnant, I like attempted to, and
which is never fun. Like even
no, right? I mean,
it might be for some.
Yeah, people, but I literally, it's in my mouth, and I'm like, gagging. I run to the toilet and literally throw up, and he's like, oh. He's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, it's okay.
It's such an interesting like ego check for that.
Oh, probably. Yeah. Or they like it. They're like, yeah.
One of the two. My husband was so sweet. He's like, I'm sorry.
I know. So is Chan.
What do you do? Yeah. There's nothing you can do.
Right. There's nothing.
But it's funny. We had the same ick.
I know. I'm trying to think of any other like deters I had like from things.
Yeah.
I loved sour things when I'm pregnant. Same. I love them anyway.
Same.
We're both
watermelon.
sour.
I would eat 3 in a week, a whole one.
Wow.
By myself. Thai food.
You were hydrated.
Hydrated.
Yeah.
Thai food. I loved Thai food.
Yeah.
And peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Okay, that's a good like neutral one.
Yeah.
I feel like it's easy to eat.
Yeah, I loved them. And I don't like PB&Js, which is funny. Now I do.
Yeah.
Ish on occasion.
Right.
But it was very neutral food. It wasn't like the bologna sandwiches, the pickles, deli sandwiches. But I think that's like every girl.
You know what? I am not there's rules to pregnancy, like eat this and da-da-da. Yeah. I really don't follow them. Because you know what though, like if you're getting something from like a reputable source, it's not for me. This is me personally, obviously, but like I eat sushi, I eat meats, I eat all the things, but sushi is one big craving of mine, and I eat it.
Which is so interesting. I know a lot of people who do that. I was just talking about that with a couple girls the other day at dinner, and they were saying they ate sushi the whole time, and their OB was like, it's fine as long as it's like quality.
Right.
But I think that's where you have to dig into your own intuition. We by no means are promoting or telling you what you can and can't do.
Yes.
We're not doctors.
Right.
Let's preface
that one.
We're not. Over and over.
Yeah.
But it is funny what your body like needs.
Right.
Craves.
Yeah. And I'm such a big like, especially in pregnancy and motherhood, you follow your intuition. And like usually when your body's telling you want something, it's because you need it or some form of the thing. Like maybe not like if you're like craving like a chocolate cake, maybe you don't need that, but like you're missing some type of nutrient that like,
there's a deficit.
Yeah, there's a deficit somewhere. Yeah. And sometimes it's just good for the soul.
And sometimes you just need that chocolate long john.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, yum.
With me.
Really?
Chocolate long johns and bologna sandwiches. And
you
know what's
gross
funny?
Bologna.
Nasty. But you know what's funny? As a kid, guess what I loved?
That is hilarious.
And I would have died for a bologna sandwich, but my mom was like very ahead of the curve, which now in retrospect, I'm like, you go.
Yeah.
All organic.
Yes.
So I'm like, we're not allowed to have bologna in this house.
Yeah. She's like, nope.
I can't have that bologna sandwich with the American cheese that you unwrap with like plastic.
Stop. Yeah. It's just marinating in plastic.
I could have never had that.
Well,
I could have, but it wasn't in my house.
Right. My kids say that we have a boring selection of food because I do also buy organic.
Oh, same. I have balance now. I have a little more balance.
Yes.
I eb and flow, but they'll thank you one day.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like you thank
They're
your
lucky.
mom. Yeah.
They just don't know it yet.
Exactly.
My friends would be like, you have organic water? I'm like,
organic water.
When you just want to fit in.
Literally, you're like, yeah.
Don't come to my house.
My kids are like, can you buy goldfish? I'm like, sorry, no.
My mom used to take us to get snacks, okay? Because we didn't have a ton of treats in our house. And so she'd take me and my sister to go get snacks. My sister would pick like a candy. I would get a whole loaf of French bread.
Stop.
And I would eat the whole thing.
You
and
would
it's
not.
funny because that's so me still.
Yes.
I love bread.
Oh my gosh.
I did crave bread a lot when I was pregnant, but that's no new thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's no new thing.
It's just,
we
it's
love
just
bread
natural.
here.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I didn't have a ton of icks.
Yeah.
Besides those.
I don't think I really have either. I loved ice, which
yeah.
now that I know more information, I'm like, that was an iron deficiency. Mm-hmm. But like I think it was latent. I chewed ice like it was going out of style.
Which is crazy.
Like I for sure probably ruined the enamel on my teeth.
But you were happy.
Yeah, I was happy. So it doesn't matter.
Counts for something.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like a common misconception in motherhood is that we have to find ourselves again.
Yeah.
Like that this old version of ourselves is all of a sudden going to come back.
Yeah.
But it's not. And that goes into what we were talking about earlier today about like getting your pink back.
Yeah.
And kind of like finding this new version of yourself. I know you like love that. I want to hear what you have to say about all of that.
I love it because I know earlier we were talking kind of about how this podcast has really given us a good outlet.
Right.
In motherhood. And it's given us like a new passion for it. And for me personally, it's given me more to give more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Having something for me allows me to show up better for my kids and for my husband and for my friends and my family. It's really interesting how it works.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the whole concept of finding your pink. I think a lot of us know what that is. I think it's pretty notoriously known. I know that Lindsay Girk posted about it on her Instagram. And if you don't follow her, she's really funny,
so
just like so raw and real. And I love that about her. But it got me thinking, and I'm going to pull up my notes because, words are hard sometimes.
They are.
We were kind of talking about this where we said a lot of people think it's just about finding yourself after.
Right.
The whole like finding your pink movement, I think there's a misconception and a lot of people think it's like just about postpartum, like finding your pink after postpartum, which that exists too. That's a component in motherhood. But what I've learned through just like reading a bunch of articles and watching videos about this whole finding your pink movement is that it's really about motherhood in general. And so for those of you who haven't heard it or who don't know what we're talking about, so flamingos, obviously we associate them with that bright pink, beautiful color. And if you see a flamingo that has like a light pink hue, this is science. This is scientific, like for people who are like, okay, whatever, like this is a scientific thing. Those are mothers. And generally they say that they're mothers who are raising their young children. And so I'm going to read this. And they say it's because their energy and food is given to their children, essentially leaving them completely depleted. So I jotted down a quote that I thought was so cool. It said, "It's the only animal that God lets us see how much the woman is depleted while taking care of other people. Getting your pink back means regaining a sense of your own identity after a significant life change. Essentially, it's about reconnecting with your passions and self-care practices to feel like yourself again. In short, you may feel like you are losing parts of yourself or like you aren't able to operate at your fullest capacity as you work hard to raise good humans. But don't worry, you will get your pink back." Like what a beautiful quote. And what an inspirational thing to think that motherhood's exhausting.
Yeah.
It completely depletes you. And we don't get a trophy at the end of it. We don't clock out. We don't get a paycheck every 2 weeks, but we do it because we're moms and it's just this natural instinct to do. And we love doing it. Right. And I loved that quote because it talks about finding things that bring you joy so that you can get your pink back. I think that sometimes in motherhood, we think, okay, I'll raise my kids And once they're older, then I'll find something for me.
Right.
Why does it have to be one or the other?
Yeah.
Why can't they coexist? Which kind of brings me full circle to this whole podcast thing, where I feel like we're finding our pink.
Yeah.
And I feel like in turn, it's actually making me shine brighter in every area of my life, not just in like personal development, but in motherhood and friendships and all of it. It's a really cool thought to think that like we can have both.
Yeah.
We can do both. We can show up as great moms and find ourselves again in the process and find a new version of ourselves that like most of the time I think we like better.
Right.
Because we've learned more and we have more life experience under our belt.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool thing.
Totally. We get stuck in this depleted version and it's so easy to stay there because it's just easier. It's hard when you're in it, but it's like comfortable because that's what you know.
Well, yeah, because why can't we pour into ourselves the way we pour into our kids? It's what we know. It's comfortable.
Yeah. And it's comfortable like staying in a mindset like that. Just because it's like safer, the unknown, like we've talked about like imposter syndrome and like doing things for yourself that like let's say you're used to like going somewhere with your husband or with a friend and you want to do something for yourself and you go by yourself, that can feel uncomfortable at first.
Feels very foreign.
Yeah. And so it's like getting out of your comfort zone also helps you get more pink, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not comfortable all the time. As mothers, it's so important to prioritize ourselves and obviously also prioritize your children. But like Brecken's saying, like you cannot pour from an empty cup. You can't withdraw like constantly from yourself without depositing. I know we talked about that earlier, but it's like truly the biggest testament to like your own self-love and also the love of your kids. Like would you ever want like Scotty to feel like she didn't have her pink? Like obviously there's going to be a phase where she might not.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's how I feel about Leighton and this baby. It's like that there's going to be a point in their lives that they go through something like this and they're going to watch how you and I navigated it and like what we went through and we can share our experiences of how we got through it and got our pink back and all the things. But we can only do that if we do it.
Yeah.
if we put effort into it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Well, and that reminded me of it. And you kind of essentially said it, but we're leading by example here. We have tiny humans who are the biggest sponges and they absorb everything.
Unfortunately.
Sometimes the repeats are like, can we not say that in public?
Exactly.
We need to look put together. Actually, we don't. It's funny. People laugh. But the fact that they absorb so much it's a gift and a curse, right? But it's mostly a gift when we're doing it, when we're getting our pink back, when we're navigating the hard, but also finding ourselves and doing something for us. I think it shows our kids that they can do that too. I've talked to so many people who are like, my kids moved out and then I like lost myself. I didn't have anything for me. Yeah. My relationship struggled. I mean, these are like obviously older people I've talked to that are in a different phase of life than we are. But it was a good reminder for me to not let these best years of our lives raising our children be an excuse for us not to pour into ourselves too.
Right.
Is basically what it was.
Yeah.
And they both can exist. And I think it shows our kids like, oh my gosh, how cool.
Right.
Like my mom was involved and present and a great mom, but also like, look what she did.
Yeah. No. And also I feel like too, we talk about getting our pink back and it can feel like pressure too. So it's like also, I think while you're getting your pink back and all the things, it's more so like not pressured to get your pink back right away and do it. And like, it has to be quick. It's like, just do things you love, do things that pour into yourself, do things that fill your cup like that. And eventually you will be pink again.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like you turn pink into your baby pink and then your whatever a medium pink color is. And, you know, then you're that fluorescent like highlighter. Fuchsia. I think that's what color they are.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. Hot pink. That was the color of my wall when I was little.
There
so maybe it
was like foreshadowing.
It's just like subconscious.
It was actually, I feel like knowing you, that makes a whole lot of sense. But to your point, it's overwhelming sometimes to be like, how do I get from point A to point Z?
Right.
That doesn't exist. We can't skip a turn. We can't press a button and fast forward. We've got to dig deep and do hard and pull ourselves through it. But also little by little, that becomes habitual.
Yeah.
And then what was hard to do, you know, in the beginning that's so routine. Now you add something more. Now you add something more. And then eventually she back.
Yeah.
And you're
back.
But she's better. But she's better.
And changed forever.
Yeah.
Forever. Because you can never go back because you've been through something so big. And like you were saying, it's literally, have you read the book Atomic Habits?
I love it. Well, halfway.
Okay. Yeah.
I've read it halfway like 4 times. It's actually in my nightstand to read again with amazing. Untethered Soul halfway.
Yep.
Gosh.
But it's 1% better every day. So read 1 page tonight.
Okay, I will. My problem is I get all of these good, like, read this.
Yeah.
Like Big Magic or the Joe Dispenza one or the Let Them Theory.
You start them and you're like,
so I start everything.
I do that too.
And then every book.
I read 10 at a time.
Yeah, and they merge together and I don't know what I'm reading or absorbing. So that's my problem. But
yeah, but it's literally 1% better every single day because at the end of the year, how much more percentage are you better than you were the year before? You know?
Absolutely.
Or even the day before. 1% better is better than nothing.
Yeah. So. And I think that we deserve that. And I think our families deserve that. You can't tell me that like when you're operating at your best self and you have a really good day, I'll speak for me. When I feel like I'm doing my routine and I'm pouring into me, oh my gosh, I pour so much harder into my family. I just do. It's crazy the parallel versus when I'm gassed and depleted. I'm like operating, I'm in the basement and I don't really get up on the main floor.
Same.
And my kids feel it and then my kids are lashing out. It's like energy mirrors energy. Yep. So I think that when we can give a little more to ourselves, it allows us to give a little bit more to other people.
Yeah.
And like you said, it will feel foreign at first. It will.
Right.
Because I think mothers are not used to being a little bit selfish. Not that it's selfish, but it feels selfish.
Yeah.
But I promise you in turn, it will pay dividends.
Yes,
you know,
tenfold. I was going to say around the clock, but that's not.
I feel like I understood it though. Like I get it. It makes sense.
But no, I completely agree. And I mean, motherhood is such a wild journey and it's like none of us are doing a perfect job and that's impossible to do a perfect job. Yeah. But it's just making those small little tweaks every single day and being aware that like when you are feeling like, okay, I'm depleted, I need to pour a little more into myself, prioritizing yourself and not feeling guilty for doing that and giving yourself permission to do that because in turn, it's going to be better for everyone.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
100.
We're really excited that you're here. And I know we said that in our intro episode, but it's been really amazing just to see the level of support.
Oh my gosh.
From our intro episode to now.
Not us like crying about every little thing. We're like
emotional.
30 followers. Oh my gosh. Like
every time we bump up followers, we're texting each other and it's not the followers, it's the support.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
And
it's
people
the
reaching
downloads
out and all the things.
We're looking at our analytics.
Yes.
And we're like, oh my gosh, somebody's watching from Georgia. Somebody's watching from New York. Somebody's watching from Mexico. And
yes. Shout out Cassie.
Shout out Cassie. I was like, someone's watching from Mexico. She's like, yeah, that's my sister.
Like she's on her honeymoon.
Yeah. It's everything. It's everything. Yeah. To have people, like we've had so many people text us and just be like, this is huge. Thank you. I resonate so deeply with what you're saying. Right. And so
thank you. Seriously.
Thank you. It means everything. Thank you for being here. And we'll continue to grow together.
Yep. And learn.
We'll learn. We'll make mistakes. We might release a podcast a week later because we forgot to record some audio. Yep. That happened. Anyways, it did. But we can laugh along the way.
Yeah.
And we can do it together.
Right.
So
thank you guys. Yep. Love you.
Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And that's a wrap on today's episode. We hope that you felt seen, heard, and maybe even a little empowered. If you loved today's combo, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your girls.
Let's keep this Soul Tide community growing. Until next time, stay true, stay bold, and most importantly,
stay you. Love you, mean it. Bye.